right, today's guest is
Recording.
none other than the ukulele jazz badass Abe Lagrimas Jr.
Oh
What's up, my friend?
wow. What is up? What's up, Andrew?
Dude, it's been a
Thank you
while.
so
It's
much.
been it's been a while, but yeah. How has this year been treating you?
It's been all right, actually. It's been all right. When the pandemic started in March, because I'm a full time musician,
Oh yeah,
um,
for sure.
so it was gigs. It was a lot of gigs, a lot of traveling, um, and then teaching in town. But I was, the last few years, I was like going somewhere at least every month.
Oh, nice.
So when the pandemic started, when everything like shut down, there was a period where I was just like kind of confused on
Yeah,
like, okay, how long should I just wait it out, or should I think about like what to do? You know what I mean?
that was the worst
Um,
part. It's just like
yeah,
stay put.
I think that transition, or having to accept that this is what the world is.
Yeah,
Um,
and then
but
everyone kept giving us like a false date. Oh, like beginning of June we can go places.
right, yeah. So I think when after I accepted it, I was optimistic that we were gonna get over it real quickly.
Right.
But obviously that didn't happen. Um, but then, here we are in, what is it, November now. I've adjusted, I think quite well to this new life. Especially after having a life where I was driving all over town. I was driving a lot in LA, either for teaching or for gigs, and then on top of that, like traveling. So my life was just very like on the go. Even when I
Right,
was in
right.
town, I was just always on the go.
Oh, that's quite an
Um,
adjustment then.
it was a mega adjustment from that to like having to just like not go anywhere.
I know.
Um, I remember like my one tank of gas in my car lasted like 2 months.
Yeah, same here, same here.
Which is insane because before that I was filling up once a week.
Oh,
One
wow.
or like every week and a half.
I mean, you drive a lot, especially like in LA.
Yeah, I mean, with LA, with all the gigs, and then also the teaching. And then the last year, I was living all the way kind of out in San Pedro, so which is a little further than all the things that I was doing. So, um, but that's kind of the normal lifestyle of living in LA. You're just kind of driving. It's car culture.
Right, right.
And then
Definitely not like
to all of
Hawaii.
a sudden like not drive. Um, so one, not drive, and then also not getting on a plane, or not being somewhere. And then for me, the whole traveling thing was, it was part of my regular routine actually, where I was looking forward to the traveling. Not only was I working, but it also mentally just kind of like allowed me to kind of find inspiration artistically for songs or for writing, being in just new places, because usually when I write, because I'm traveling so much, that's kind of like my natural source of inspiration, because I'd see
Mm,
new things, I'd be with new people, um, and and sometimes I write songs to kind of like use that as a kind of like a timestamp, or to kind of remember that memory.
nice. Yeah, no, I know it's like sometimes music is even greater than looking at a photo album.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I
I'm
feel like
not so much of
sometimes,
a like taking pictures. Uh, for me, it's writing music, and so that when I hear the music, boom, it instantly brings us back. And I'm sure that happens to a lot of people. Like for
yeah,
me, when I hear like a '90s R&B song, boom, I'm like a 12, 15-year-old kid again. You know what I mean?
right. And
Because
it's
music
really
brings you back
cool.
to that time period.
Yeah,
Um, so
and you can
yeah,
feel it.
right, right, exactly. So to not have that, that inspiration was also a shift, artistically, you know.
Mm,
Yeah, but I've been busy teaching, so I do have like a weekly routine.
Right, right.
where I'm teaching. I actually now what's the good one of the good things that came out with this pandemic is because before I was always on the go. Um, I really had a hard time to find to set some time aside for practicing,
Mm,
and so gigs and teaching, that's kind of like what my practice time was, you know,
yeah.
when you'd perform or like when you'd prepare for a performance, like
Right.
then you kind of practice something.
Yeah.
But now because there aren't really any shows, I've been making and setting time aside like throughout the week to practice, to
That's
actually
good.
practice, sit down and like work on something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been all right, considering how you know that we're still in this pandemic and there still aren't any shows.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
hoping that sooner than later we're able to go. Yeah, it's certainly become a routine of mine too to be able to travel and you practice all these songs and then you showcase the songs when you're on the road or something like that.
right.
So even like I I think me and my dad were rehearsing a song the other day and I completely forgot how to play it because I haven't played it since like January.
Right.
Right.
And
But
then
it
occasionally, like there'd be like a performance, either on like a Zoom thing or whatever. And then because I haven't been like actually performing, and I also haven't been doing like the live stream thing.
oh right,
Um,
right.
yeah.
But you've been doing a lot of like I've seen you doing a lot of videos, right? You did like a Pat Metheny song, right?
So it started with the videos. It started with just like me doing like a solo uke piece, finding tunes that I could kind of arrange, finding a variety of tunes, and then I realized, oh, maybe since I got a bunch of instruments here, I started doing like the kind of multi instrumental thing,
Oh right, right. The acapella
and
app, right?
with multi tracking and everything, So I started playing bass, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Started playing bass. I started playing like my low G ukulele, which I never play.
Oh, wait,
Um,
was that the was it mahogany?
the my low G is a collab. It's a myrtlewood spruce.
Oh, okay, okay.
Myrtlewood, yeah. Um, Started playing that for a little bit. Yeah, I did like an Animal Crossing,
Yeah, yeah, I remember
video
that one.
where there's like a bunch of other. I played melodica, and then I started adding drums to the videos. Um, it just kind of like so I had this kind of routine, and then I just didn't really keep it going because I mean it was again, I wasn't sure how long this pandemic thing was gonna be. So I was kind of doing that for fun, and to just because it was for fun, might as well just like share it, and post it out there.
Yeah,
Not really having like a full on goal, or
right.
a
Just
schedule
just
for it.
doing it kind
Just
of
doing it
like
yeah, to kind of keep myself busy, and
yeah.
but to always keep playing. That was the main
Right.
thing why I did it. It was to because if we're stuck at home, it's so easy to just like sit around and be on
Do
Netflix
nothing.
all day or
Right,
playing
right,
video
right.
games. So
Yeah.
it was an opportunity for me to just to keep playing,
Yeah. No, it's and it's something
learn
you need to
tunes,
keep sharpening your skills.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And
And
the
then
more you
because
try,
it's those videos, and because I'm putting it out there, you actually, or at least for me, I want to like put something, that I'm happy with. So I'm practicing the tune. So, um, it also kind of gave me some time to, um, yeah, kind of keep working on something.
it's good. Sorry, I didn't catch that part.
Oh, did it not go through?
Yeah, the thing. Sorry, when like technical difficulties, but
Okay,
whatever.
okay.
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is like it just gave me some time to practice,
Oh, right, right.
because I'm working on those tunes. I plan to share them and post it out there, and I want to make sure whatever I put out there is good, and that I'm happy with it. So before I record, I'm shedding on the tunes, practicing.
When it comes to, I guess, arranging and writing, like, you see those kind of like Do you prefer one?
Um, it's
Because it's kind of
I
like,
prefer I prefer writing.
oh, writing over arranging.
Yeah, composing over arranging. Arranging is it's a different skill, you know.
Yeah.
I've done arranging. I guess the thing that comes to my mind is, or the biggest arranging project I did was a couple months ago. Uh, the album with me and Cynthia and Lenny came out.
Oh, right, right, right.
The U3 album.
Yeah.
So it's another. I'm plugging the album, by the way.
Yeah, check it out.
If you don't have it, check it out. U3 on Bandcamp and all the music outlets. But so that album, I think there's two Cynthia Lin originals, but then the rest are all cover tunes. You know.
Right. I think you guys do like
Um,
message in bottle.
yeah, Message in a Bottle. We do Wave, the jazz standard.
Oh, right, right.
Bunch of other tunes, Crimea River. Um, but
Yeah, I have to take a listen to it. I haven't.
Mashkinada, yeah. But with that, because there's a lot of cover tunes, I didn't want to just record the songs like as is. I wanted to kind of give it have a little different take on it.
Yeah,
So that was a fun. So that's arranging. Taking a song that already exists and then doing something with it that to kind of make it your own. Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Like you said, it is a different skill. Like when you arrange something, it's
sure.
kind of like you have the recipe, but how do you make? It's like when you see those cooking shows, right? The chefs use the same ingredients,
Yeah,
but the result
yeah.
is always different. So it's kind of like in
Right,
that
exactly.
sense where you have a
Yeah,
recipe, but with songwriting, you completely just have
it's
paint
from
and a
scratch.
brush.
Yeah, yeah. And
So,
for me, I'd say I'm much more comfortable composing than arranging.
mm,
But arranging's fun because it's a little bit of it is like composing because there you still have to exercise kind of your creativity.
right.
With arranging, I feel like you now use the tools that you already own,
Mm,
to change the tune, you know.
right.
Whereas with composing, I mean, it's kind of like you could be finding new tools, and then using
Yeah.
old ones.
Different
Um,
techniques.
right, right, right. Yeah, different skills. I don't have a whole lot of experience arranging, but it's always fun because you're already because the song is already there, so people know the song. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like really interesting what you can kind of do to the song.
Yeah. It's just like, what is my take going to be on it?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Versus like songwriting is very, yeah, just free form and just like, hope you guys like it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Versus, yeah. So it's like, I don't know. I guess sometimes, my approach, sometimes I prefer, I guess I would go in stages. Like sometimes I prefer to write. But writing, you cannot choose when to write. That's the thing,
Yeah.
right?
I think what for me, the tricky part about arranging is because there's already an expectation because people know the songs.
That's true. That's true.
You know
So
what I
there's like a
mean?
pressure. Like, does this sound
Yeah.
legit?
So there's already a bar, and then it's always going to be compared to the original or whatever version that the listener is comfortable with or the one that they're familiar with.
So I'm not. I
Right.
know a little bit about your background, but like, more was music something that was in the family? Like, when did it all begin?
Yeah, music was. I come from a musical family. It's all on my dad's side of the family.
Oh, okay.
So my dad, is a musician. Still plays to this day. Um, his father, so my grandfather, was also a musician.
Oh, nice.
And so a lot of my dad's brothers and sisters were are also musicians too. And then so everyone has kids and everything.
Right.
So so my generation, I also have cousins, who are also musicians too.
Wow, that's
I have another. I went to Berklee College of Music. My older brother went to Berklee College of Music, and then I also have a second cousin who went to Berklee College of Music.
wow.
Um, what else? Yeah, so I mean, it was always in the family.
Was
Growing
it
up, I have two older brothers. So growing up, we had garage band. We'd play rock tunes. I'd play drums, and my brother would play guitar, and then my other brother would play bass. So
mm,
so we grew up, playing music together. So music was always around in the house.
and that's awesome. And did you started with was it drums, right?
Started with drums, yeah, when I was 4 years old.
Oh wow,
Had
that's
a
super young.
had a drum set. Yeah, yeah. So I was making noise when I was 4 years old. Yeah.
Man, and then did you learn, were you studying like theory at that young age?
No, no, that came a lot later. So when I picked up the drums, I was just learning by listening to stuff on the radio,
Mm,
um,
right.
playing along to like the cassette tapes that we had. Yes,
Oh,
cassette tapes,
cassettes.
cassette tapes, and then CDs.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of just playing along.
Oh, okay. So
Watching
you
things,
like,
watching things on TV, and then just like seeing the drummer, and then like air drumming. Did a lot of air drumming.
oh man.
What else?
And did
Yeah, and
you?
then theory. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say like, and then you. Oh, man, I don't even know how many. I know you play a bunch of instruments. Was it keyboards next or vibes?
So it was. So I started on drums, but then there was a period where I was playing guitar quite a bit,
Oh
and
wow.
I think the main reason why I started playing guitar was because we I couldn't set up the drums in our house like all the time. I couldn't leave it set up because we'd always get noise complaints.
Oh yeah, of
you know.
course.
So so I think I was only allowed to like set up the drums like I don't know once a week or once every other week, but not every. I couldn't play every day, just because
Mm,
just the noise, and
yeah.
I wasn't, I was the kid, so I'm sure I did not sound good at all. Um, so because of that, but I could play guitar every day, and we had a bunch of guitars lying around. My older brother played guitar, so I would just kind of like mess around on guitar. Um, uh, so that
So
I was
guitar was second.
so guitar was second, but I didn't like learn or I didn't study guitar. I was just kind of like I did learn how to read tab, you
Mm-mm.
know. So we had a few tab books again of like all our favorite rock bands, and then so that's how I would learn how to read tab.
Ah,
I didn't
okay.
at that time I still didn't know how to read music, you
Mm.
know. Um, then after that, music education for me started when I started taking drum lessons.
Oh, okay.
So I played guitar for about a year or two, just kind of messing. And then I got more serious about the drums because I was able to. My parents were signed me up for drum lessons.
Oh, okay.
But then I actually started studying, studying drums, learning how to read on drums. So that's when I started to read music. When I started taking drum
Mm.
lessons, yeah.
So you
And
were
then I
about
and then I kind of put the guitar down after that.
okay. So you were what, like about 10 years old at the time?
At that time, about actually, yeah, 10 years old.
Oh wow.
Yeah, 10 years old. I started taking lessons. I believe that's about right. Yeah, about 10 years old.
Oh man, that's cool. And then you
So
just
every
kind of
week,
continue
yeah,
just drumming.
yeah, 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 yeah. Our drum lessons. My parents would drive me into town, and yeah,
Man.
that was it.
So that's the origins. Wow. And then
Yeah,
what
and
did
and
the
then
other?
once I hit seventh grade out, then I joined the band right away. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
and then that's when everything that's when I learned pretty much everything. Reading music like music notes now. You know what I mean?
Music notes. Right,
Music
right.
notes, learning about harmony. You know, being in the jazz band, you learn about chords and everything.
Hmm. Oh, so you had the
in
foundation
addition
pretty
to
early on then.
yeah, because at that point I've already been learning how to read drums.
Yeah.
And then when you join band, you're in the percussion section, so you got to learn how to play a xylophone, orchestra bells, timpani. So you do have to learn how to read music, when you're
Right,
in
right.
band. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I guess
So
you, if you have the structured background with theory, it's easy to pick up other instruments. Or
um,
easier, I should say. Then,
easier. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. First I was learning how to read drum music, which is all rhythm, you know.
Mm.
So I was focusing a lot on rhythm, and then when I joined, when I was in the band program, that's when you start to learn how to read notes. So it's nice that I was able to kind of focus like on both aspects of music, so rhythm and melody and harmony,
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
because if you for example if you learn like a pitched instrument, whether it's piano or violin or whatever it is, um, like right off the bat you're learning how to read notes.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, and
Step back.
then and then you kind of also have to learn how to read rhythm, but for the most part when you're learning an instrument you focus more on the notes, whereas I started off learning drums, so I it was just all rhythm,
Right.
learning how to read music. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh man. So did you so you went into Berkeley and you were playing you were playing what, three, four different instruments at the time? Was that before ukulele?
It was still before ukulele. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Man,
yeah,
I know that's crazy. Every time I think about it, it's
yeah.
like, man, ukulele is what, your third instrument, but it's like you're just like an animal at it. Like,
So by the time I got to Berkeley, I was focusing on just drums and vibraphone.
oh,
And then
okay,
I
okay,
was
right.
kind of playing just a little bit of piano. Again, not I didn't study, but the piano is laid out just like the vibraphone.
Vibraphone, right.
Yeah, so um, just with the piano, I was mainly just learning about how chords are built, basically.
Mm.
You know, and then ukulele came. My what second year, second or third year in college.
So you just decided to buy
So
one
that's when
and
ukulele started for me. No, my friend Randy Wong, um, who we were both living in Boston at the same time. I'd hang out at his place like a lot.
right,
and
yeah.
and he's a bass player. Um, and whoever's watching this, Randy now the executive director for the Honolulu Hawaii Youth Symphony.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so we were living in Boston at the same time, and he's a bass player, but he's always had a ukulele like sitting in the corner of his room. And then just one day, I picked it up and then we started like jamming. I didn't know what to. I already knew how to do this. That's the thing because
Oh,
I
from the
play
guitar.
guitar. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, and then I knew chords, but I didn't know how to play chords. You know what I mean? Like I knew chords
Oh,
in my head.
right. Because it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the new
yeah.
map you have to learn, right?
It's the new
PCA.
map. Right, 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 right.
Right. So I
Yeah.
remember seeing a video. I remember I was still like a seventh grader at the time, but I remember I saw this
Mm.
video of you playing Spain. You had
Okay.
like an aloha shirt on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, was that how shortly after? Yeah, man.
It was probably like months.
Really, after you pick up,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
crazy,
It was like months.
man. So you picked
That
up
that
super
was
quickly
that
then.
was early on. That was early on. Yeah.
Wow.
And yes, I was playing with a pick.
Oh,
Um,
that's right. I forgot
well,
about that.
because yeah, a lot of people don't know about that, but I was playing with a pick because of where I came from. I
Oh,
was a
right,
guitar
the
player,
guitar player.
and not just a guitar player. I was like a heavy metal guitar player. So
Oh, dude.
which explains why I was playing like all these like I wanted to play fast. That's all I
I
knew how
want
to
to watch
do.
that video now. I haven't
No,
seen that video in
let's
years.
not. We should delete that video.
Did you
Um,
post it?
I don't know who posted it
Oh
actually. I
man.
don't remember.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's why I started to just it was just so natural for me to play fast.
Man.
Um, to play all these notes. It was because of my heavy metal background.
Oh, I see.
Um,
Oh man, I
yeah,
never knew that. That's cool.
yeah,
Heavy metal.
yeah.
When
It's
was the last time you
a
played
lot of
that kind of
picking.
style?
So it transferred over, when I started to play jazz a little bit, but I just,
Mm,
as you get older and you kind of get more mellow now. So, but
right.
I still have fun playing all, crazy lines every so often.
Oh man, well, I'm gonna have to make a request next time I see you. Oh man, that's cool. But just, I mean, just being in Berkeley, like that environment, like how is that? Because even contemplate about checking it out, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like a big part of my life is like music.
Yeah,
Like I spend a lot of time on it. You know what I mean? I
yeah,
spend a
for
lot of time
sure.
like listening to it, learning about music, thinking about music. Um, it's a big part of me. So to be in that like when I was there, it's not like it was a big change for me
Mm,
musically.
right,
Like I didn't really have to like I don't remember myself saying like, oh, this is too much.
right.
It was always like, yeah, give me more kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's pretty.
The only change was it was just the environment. That was the big change. So
And I guess
just
being
being in a new
surrounded by,
place,
like,
living in the East Coast is, I mean, that's as different as you can get from Hawaii.
that's for sure.
Um, so it was adjusting to that. That's what what I remember is adjusting to the living environment. But musically, it was always just like I just felt like it was a nice transition for me.
Mm,
Because by the time I graduated high school, I was kind of already doing like lots of things musically. I mean, I was already I started gigging, when I was in high school, like on
oh,
drums.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was already playing a lot of music. I was already writing music. So Berkeley was just kind of like a way for me to kind of continue what I was doing.
Nice.
Yeah, and
And
then
just
and then
being like
just
around
write
other
more.
musicians must have been cool, you know?
That part was cool. Was meeting yeah, new musicians and musicians who are, your age. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it just like
Like
that helps sharpen you, I guess.
yeah, yeah, because we're all we were all coming from different parts of the world, but we all kind of have the same goal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh man, that's pretty awesome. And did
it
you
was
get
it was
when did you
very awesome. Yeah.
and shortly after that, when did you start getting into the teaching side?
Ooh,
Or is that more recent?
I'd say it's more recent. I started teaching on drums.
Hmm.
Like when I was still going to school, when I was still at Berkeley, and I'd spent my summers in Hawaii, and when I was back home, I'd teach a few lessons and then do some gigs.
Right.
Um, so that's kind of where my teaching started. Actually, but I should also mention when I was at Berkeley, I actually majored in music education. So
Oh
I have
wow.
yeah graduated in from Berkeley with a music education degree, which is kind of funny.
Man.
But I never used it. Um, but
But you can say
so
that.
so the yeah I guess you could say that I have the foundation. But I guess some of it has to apply to what I do now, but I can't really make a direct connection of how
Oh
it does
really? It's
apply.
just
Yeah,
different?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Because
interesting.
I feel like when I started teaching uke, a lot of it because I'm self-taught on uke.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
my teaching is basically just kind of like how I taught myself.
Your
You know,
interpretation.
I'm just kind of like passing it down.
I mean, I think that actually might be better though.
Um,
Because
it's
it's not like by the book, it's a different approach. I think when you can go to, or when a student goes to a teacher, the student would like to learn, I guess, the teacher's method or way
mm-hmm.
of approaching it. So, I
Yeah.
mean, because this is actually a little trivia, but throughout my ukulele journey, I've never taken a lesson besides from Abe before. You're the very
Oh,
first guy I paid to do
I
a
was the
lesson.
only guy. I'm the only guy.
Yeah, yeah,
Really?
yeah. And it was at the age of 23, and I had no music theory at the time.
Ah.
So that's why, like, I learned. That's why, like, I know that you're a very good teacher because you really helped me connect the dots. And I remember, It was after we went to Zanko Chicken, right?
We had two lessons.
We had a
We were
couple.
trying
We
to
had a
play.
couple,
Yeah.
but the very
A really nice structured solo. I'll do my best. Okay.
Okay.
So that's yeah, that was about 5 years ago.
Nice.
My God, man, how old are you now, Abe?
Ooh.
We're not 10 years apart, are we?
How old are you?
28,
20. Oh, okay. Almost.
almost.
No, I'm 37.
You turning 30? Or did you just turn 37? No.
Turning 38 next year. So
Oh, okay, yeah.
depending on when this will air. But
Don't worry, it'd probably be sooner than that. Oh man! And speaking of just improvising, that's something that I've always admired about you. You're so proficient when you approach that. I just wanna how do you approach? I remember you told me that you see lights on the fretboard.
oh wow, what was I taking? I wonder what I was taking then.
I mean, in a way, I mean, I guess from your perspective, it's true. I mean, everyone sees it differently.
I guess so. Uh, my approach.
I'm sorry, and that's not a very easy question to answer. I guess it'd be like,
No. No. I can answer this. My approach starts with the vocabulary,
okay,
and the vocabulary starts with what you hear naturally. That's where the vocabulary comes from. So to I guess so my foundation I guess is jazz. So
Right.
when I approach music, I always kind of just have this jazz mindset.
yeah,
Meaning like understanding chords. Where does the chord start? The tonality of the song, the harmony, how the chord progression goes. How the melody sounds in relation to the chords. Just kind of like looking at a song that way.
interesting.
So with all of the kind of the stuff that I've been listening to jazz wise, you hear how people improvise.
Yeah,
And that's where that's where I learned how to improvise. Really, is just by listening to a lot of different people improvise.
right. And yeah,
You know?
I guess you sometimes if you hear like a certain lick or something that you like, you kind of
Right.
store that into your vocabulary.
Yeah. So the reason why I when I improvise, I mentioned that understanding how chords and melody and how it all just kind of goes together. When you listen to someone improvise, it's best to know to understand also what the chords are,
Yeah,
so that when you hear them improvise, you see what they're trying to outline on top of the chords.
yeah,
You can't just listen to someone improvise, especially if you're learning. For example, you need to hear the chords and also know what the chords are.
Yeah.
If you're just listening to someone improvise, it's just very linear, just these lines. But you need to hear how those lines and melodies coincide with the chords, so that you can make sense of both. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
You said something that really that I've never forgotten. I remember you asked me, "Can you hear the chords behind it despite not playing any chords?"
Ah, yeah.
And I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Dude, I can." And I think, and it was just
Yeah.
where the I guess where you land. You're telling me this is
Right.
important.
Right.
So
Yeah,
like when you're playing and like let's say just go simple with three chords, right? You just go like over one phrase, like okay, I want to highlight the third or something. You just go with that mindset and that approach over that specific line.
Um, how can I explain this? Ooh, yeah, this one's kind of abstract.
Yeah, because I know sometimes like sometimes for me, and I know like sometimes we go in with a set pattern, but sometimes and then we switch the mindset to like, oh, where we're gonna land, kind of a
Right.
thing.
Okay. So I mean, first, when you're learning improvising, you have to learn from someone else. So for me, it was listening to all of these, records, just listening to all these jazz musicians improvise.
Yeah,
But then when you're actually learning how to do it, you learn from copying them. But then as you're learning, you're gonna realize that there are patterns. There are
yeah,
patterns,
yeah,
and then you're gonna realize you're gonna start to play something, and then you're gonna stop yourself and be like, "Oh, I like this pattern," and that becomes licks. So that term licks comes from like things that you like to do.
yeah,
You know, um, and then you build up this whole vocabulary of certain licks. That's what. So licks are just basically like those patterns that you kind of resort to every so often. Like for
right,
example, if I see an F chord on a and I need to improvise over it, I have a set number of patterns that I can
R-
resort to. You know what I mean?
right.
And
Like you
probably the
have the
same for you too.
pocket, like you have
Yeah,
like yeah,
you have certain like licks that you always kind of like resort to because you like how they sound.
right. Depending
Um,
on the chord and stuff.
right. So that's how you start to improvise. It's building your library of licks and patterns and blah blah blah.
Yeah, yeah,
And that has to come from somewhere. Some it comes from somewhere, but also another good way to kind of learn how to improvise is to also just kind of like mess around on your own because then you can find things yourself too. You know,
yeah.
and create your own licks.
Right.
So that's one way to approach improvising. Another way, which is kind of the more analytical side to it, is, with each chord, there's a scale that you use for each chord.
Right.
So when there's a chord, say for example, there's a C chord, um, knowing how each note of that scale will sound against that C chord. Okay, so if there's a
Mm,
C chord and you're playing a C chord, how does a C sound with that C chord? Okay, it
yeah.
sounds like this. It sounds like the root. How does a D sound against that C chord? It sounds like this. It's a different color. Okay, how does the E note sound against that C chord? It sounds like this. Okay, it sounds like the third. So knowing how all of those intervals, each of those notes within the scale, um, learning how all of those tones or colors sound against the chord. And then so when you're improvising, if I see a C and then say on this particular day I'm feeling really, I'm feeling one way, I might want to play something. I might want to play green or yellow, so I'll play like the
Right.
sixth. I'll play an A. But if I'm feeling super like straight or something, and like I just kind of want to play really clear, I'll play a lot of maybe C's or G's, the fifth, because it has each tone within that scale has a different color that when you play that one note up against the chord has is different.
Yeah.
That's what makes a G different from an F against a C, and so on. And you have all these different colors that you can kind of play with.
That's a good way to look at
Um,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, like sometimes I don't know, sometimes I really like the just the tone of the E. You got the
Mm,
third or even
yeah.
sometimes
And
the
the thing is, every single one of us, we hear things differently. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
And occasionally like just even like using the paint from the ninth is very
Right.
interesting
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
And
So
at first I was like,
for
what?
for
I was like,
you
why?
for you it might be pink. For me it might be like it might be blue or something.
So
We
you're
all we
pulling
all
up a
interpret it differently.
right, and you're pulling up a color that fits in, I guess, the emotion that you want to portray.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, interesting. And yeah, because I mean, out of when it comes to just improvising, I mean, I consider you definitely one of the best. And this next question is, how do you like channel the? Because when with music theory, it's kind of like math where there's rules, right?
Mm.
There's like there's set way to do things, but at the same time, it's art, right? Music is
Mm-hmm.
art.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you channel that art side without getting consumed with the craft? And it's something that I heard Herbie Hancock talk about before.
Okay.
He goes, don't get caught up in the craft of things because it can
Okay.
block your creativity.
Are you talking about improvising?
Yeah, I guess improvising it.
Improvising. Okay. Um,
It's okay, take your time.
you always want to try to be in the moment as much as possible.
Like
Um,
authentic.
yeah, yeah. Uh, true to yourself, you know. But in order to get to that point, though, um, like I said, you need to have an understanding
Right. No, it's like
of like okay, you study the notes, you study the scales, you know what notes sound good against this chord, you know how to navigate seamlessly. Okay, once you've worked all of that stuff out, that's all of the stuff that you practice, all the left brain stuff, you know. But
yeah,
then when it comes time to like performing, um, you try as much as possible to forget about that, you know, and then so that when you're performing something, um, it's just pure emoting.
right.
You know, that's the art. That's being in the moment.
So being proficient enough to navigate and then go
Yeah,
into the art
yeah,
side.
because you can't be second guessing yourself
Definitely,
when
yeah.
you're improvising. You kind of just have to like that's why when you improvise, you kind of need a certain level of confidence because you have to get into it being like, okay, I'm comfortable enough to know what to do.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
um,
But
which
you
is why
can't be like,
it's so common to make mistakes when you're improvising because it's one, it's not planned, you know, but two, because you if I mean if you're improvising correctly, meaning like you're just purely just like putting yourself like fully into that instrument. Yeah, and I mean it's very easy to make mistakes, you know,
definitely,
and
definitely.
that's the reason why like when if you're afraid of improvising, you don't want to play that wrong note. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially if like a lot of people are watching.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. That's why you kind of need to have a certain level of comfort and
I think,
understanding
yeah,
and
having
confidence.
confidence
Yeah,
in
in
navigation.
knowing what to play, knowing enough that will allow where you can allow yourself to express yourself.
Right. Yeah,
You know,
that's been
it
kind of
could
my
even be one
focus.
chord. It doesn't have to be like a bunch of chords, but like um, being able to comfortably express something, you know, through your playing. You know?
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's usually like when you're not confident with something, maybe it's a new song, that's when you usually mess up.
Mm,
Usually, like you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's coming up, can I pull it off?
yeah.
And I hate that feeling, man. It's just
that's
like,
that's a whole other thing. That's then you start just second guessing, or you got the nerves,
yeah.
which that happens all the time,
Do you
anyways.
get nervous still yet or no?
Yeah, yeah.
Is it because if it like I said, is it a new song kind of a thing or
Um,
certain settings?
could be a lot of different things. Could be it's a new song. Could be you know not warming up. I don't know.
Oh,
A
yeah,
lot of different factors.
definitely. I saw I actually saw I can't remember if it was a couple years ago, but how was jamming with Uncle Benny,
Um, it's a
dude? Because
learning experience. It's,
I
it's a
was gonna
learning
say, man,
experience. With Benny Chung, he just plays.
yeah,
He's not gonna call it out. He's not gonna tell you this measure I'm playing this chord, and this measure I'm playing this chord.
yeah, yeah,
Maybe if you have a minute before the tune, you ask like what key,
yeah.
and then if you really don't know, like if you're confused, like for example, usually in a jazz song the bridge is like a separate or like a different section. Um, then I'll ask him, oh, what is the first chord of the bridge, and then boom, and then that's all you get. You know what I mean? Because
Oh,
because from that you should be able to figure out the rest. You know what I
right,
mean?
right. I
So there's been a few times where I've played with Benny Chung, but most recently this was 2 years ago. We went to China together, so we actually got to play a lot together.
oh, okay, okay.
Um, and like I'm not gonna ask him like for every single chord, but
Right.
I the thing is, I've also developed my ears well enough to be able to follow, but it's still tough, you know, like because he's just going, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun because he throws in a lot of stuff, you know.
Right. And I would
Um,
say that I mean, you could probably hang with him the best because of your jazz background. I
yeah,
mean, and I know
well, yeah,
like a
that's
lot of us
part
are
of it.
kind of
That's part of
intimidated.
it
Like,
too.
you want to jam with Uncle Benny? We're like, I don't know about that, but like only probably Abe can do that. My dad sat in with him, I think at Nam, and he
Yeah.
said that he was sweating after because
Oh,
he was
okay.
saying he was just playing,
Yeah,
and I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, good, you got to work out that.
Yeah, he's a musician's musician, you know. Like
Yeah,
he's always playing, you know. Like we were traveling together, but every time we were like waiting down the hotel lobby, he's playing. When we're eating at the restaurant, when after we're done eating, like he has his uke and he'll start playing, you know. He's
yeah,
always playing.
and he's so, and I love the energy. You know, he's always laughing. He's always just playing music, and it's just like so. It's just
Yeah.
very. That'd just be cool to be around that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's he definitely, you know, I'm always pushed. I'm always uh, like ready, you know, because you have to be ready, you know, when you play with him, you can't just
Yeah,
like chill out. You're like, I'm always listening to see where he's gonna go, you know.
yeah.
Yeah,
Man, that's pretty awesome though.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
he's great. He's a lot of fun.
definitely. Yeah, I remember he was trying to explain like, and I at this time I like I said I didn't know any music theory back in the day, but he was trying to.
Mm.
He wrote all this chart for me, and I had no idea how to read it.
Mm.
And then he's. I mean, I consider him like a red belt in ukulele, like the top of the chain, and like I was like purple, trying to understand what he was saying. But he's so advanced where it's just like I'm like 5 steps behind what he's trying to explain.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
And so I was like, Dad, I don't know what Uncle Benny's trying to teach me because it's like I'm so lost. But now I think I could get a better grasp on it. And
Right,
there's just so
right,
many
right.
levels to this. And you might be the only
Man,
guy that I know that uses a wound C on your ukulele. And
yeah.
what's
Oh
the
yeah.
reasoning behind that? Because it's usually a wound
Um,
low G or
yeah. Well, one, I don't play low G, so
right?
When you asked me this earlier, I was thinking about it. The only reason I could come up with is uh, so my right hand, I developed it in a way. One, I don't play like this, or like I don't use my nail. I don't have nails, so everything is like with my fingers, the pad of my finger. Um, I've noticed that because so, and I do play high G. So as far as so my lowest string is the C string,
C string.
and I've played years and years and years ago because I noticed that everyone played um, a C that wasn't wound, you know,
Yeah.
like plain, all plain. So I I remember noticing that, and then so I for a short period of time I put a plain C on my uke, but then the tension of it, because it's the lowest tension string, the way I pick, um, um, I found myself to uh, to realize that when I pick it, I kind of it was too loose or too like um, flappy almost, you know,
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
you get that slap sound, you know,
yeah.
because there wasn't enough tension on the string because it's the tension's too low. So
Right.
with the wound, it's a little bit more stiff, you know,
Yeah.
and that's why I kind of just kept it like all
Oh,
these
okay.
years.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember you were telling me.
it's mainly a tension issue for me.
Oh, so it's not like a feeling like I like
It's
that
not a
metal feeling.
feeling. So I think first it was more of the tension, but then as I played more, I also now now I can say that I like the frequencies that you get from a wound. You
Yeah,
get more of a lower, thicker sound. You
yeah, it's
know.
very different. And I remember you were telling me like, oh, I don't think I could go back to just a regular nylon.
Yeah, I like the with my ukulele again. Could be different for be from one ukulele to the next. But with my ukulele, I play the low C, and it's just like vibrates and resonates, you know.
Mm.
And whenever I play another ukulele with just a plain C, like it's just like it doesn't respond how I'm used to,
Oh, I
you
see.
know.
I still wanted to try that. I remember you told me like
Now it's
years
more
ago.
of yeah, so tension and also the the tone, the sound.
Are those still the collab strings?
Um, so I use first, second, fourth Ko'olau Mahana,
Okay.
and then my wound third is the Tomastic Infeld flat wound.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
with that, with the flat wound, it's I still get the wound feel, I get the wound tone, but because it's flat wound, there's less. It's more of a rounder mellow tone, you know, because with a lot of wound strings, you kind of get that brilliance,
Yeah.
you know. With the flat wound, you immediately have a more mellow, a rounder tone.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I've always wondered
Yeah,
what the why you prefer the wound C.
yeah.
Interesting.
It just has lower bass, lower frequencies,
Yeah, yeah.
as opposed
Huh.
to plain C string.
Right. No. Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. I just now I kind of want to try that out.
Yeah, try the flat wound because plain like normal wound, um, you get that metal sound.
Yeah, yeah. I noticed
You know,
like
yeah,
yeah,
especially like when you change it, like it's brand new, you get that metal. Like I said, that metal brilliance of it.
yeah.
You know, yeah, that's why Andrew Kitakis showed me the flat wound, and then I was like, oh, this is it, man,
So there's no
because
screech then when you slide.
there's
Very little. Yeah.
very little, yeah,
Okay. Yeah. I
yeah.
think I actually might have one of those strings you're talking about somewhere around because
Mm.
I use one. I don't know if that works because it'll be low G, but yeah, the thing is like anti squeak or very minimal squeak.
Right, yeah,
So yeah, definitely have to
yeah.
try that
So
out,
check that out, guys.
man. But hey, man, it's good. Thanks for donating your time. Good to catch up, man.
Yeah,
And when do you think when can you expect a new record?
very very soon, very
Very
soon.
soon. Keep an
I
eye for that.